All of the details surrounding this Gene Hackman case are just so weird. All the way down to how police and investigators have described this case. They say no foul play is suspected, but they also say the case is highly suspicious. Now, I want you to ask yourself, what does that even mean? I mean, don't the two kind of negate each other? If there's no foul play suspected, then how could this be suspicious? Who and what are you suspicious of? When you use that word, it kind of suggests that you're suspicious of something or someone, which would suggest that maybe foul play is involved. You know, I don't remember ever seeing a case being described like this by investigators. I mean, sure, we're told all the time, no foul play suspected, no foul play involved. And we at home will look at the case and say, hell nah, this is suspicious for sure. Yeah, that happens every day. But I've never heard law enforcement come out and say, no foul play suspected, but it is highly suspicious. So it's like they don't even believe themselves halfway. They're looking at this case and they're like, okay, we don't believe it's any foul play, but man, it's so suspicious. I don't know. You know what I mean? It's like they're really sending a mixed message, at least if you ask me. If you've been watching my channel long enough, you know I always tell you guys to pay attention to how they word things. Because words have meaning, words are powerful, and they word things in a certain way for a reason. The word suspicious is a very powerful word. It means that there is some suspicion somewhere, right? Now, there's nothing suspicious about a 95-year-old man dying from a heart attack. There's nothing suspicious about a 95-year-old man dying from old age, right? There's nothing suspicious about people dying naturally. So when you use the word suspicious, it almost implies that that you at least think there's a possibility that this isn't something that happened naturally. So investigators, you know, they're going to have a hard time with this case. And from what I hear right now, they're having trouble setting up a timeline. Because one of the first things you want to do when it comes to a case like this is you want to try to set up a timeline. Now, that timeline is not always going to be 100% accurate. It's not always going to be right on the dot, down to the minute and to the second. But at the very least, if you could piece somewhat of a timeline together, you have a better understanding of how everything transpired. But right now, they're having a hard time doing that. And if they were to find out that, you know, for example, that Betsy died first, I think that makes this whole entire situation look more innocent, right? It makes this situation look more natural if Betsy died first from some sort of medical complication, and, you know, maybe Gene went to go check on her or something like that, and Gene fell over. You know, that is a more innocent explanation for this case, but right now we don't know that timeline. And that's what they're going to try to figure out. And what they're going to do is they're going to use their cell phones and the activity around their house. I mean, you could gather all types of information. I don't know what type of technology they had in his house. Like we said, I haven't heard anything about cameras, but they could track down to, hey, when's the last time Gene used his cell phone, if he even uses one? When's the last time Betsy used her cell phone? When's the last time they turned on the TV? When's the last time they logged on to social media? Or when's the last time they got on their computer? Some houses can tell you when the last time someone walked inside or outside. So right now they're going to try to gather a bunch of digital evidence from this home to help them set up a timeline. And hopefully that works out for them. But right now, we don't know for sure. But there's a police captain or ex-police captain that was recently speaking out about this case on the news that provides a little bit of extra insight. I want you guys to listen to what he has to say really quickly, and then I'll be right back with more thoughts.
In retired captain for the Los Angeles Police Department, Jerry Rodriguez. Jerry, thanks for hopping on with me. I mean, it's just such a confusing case, right? They say there's no foul play, but it is suspicious. Then they say carbon monoxide wasn't it. So in your mind, in your 26 years in law enforcement, what possibilities are still left on the table?
Well, good morning. Thank you for having me. Look, this is something that really plays out every day, but this is unique. This is getting not only national, but I would argue even international. So what law enforcement has to do is to really be thorough, methodical, and not leave one stone unturned. So they need to start from the outside, work their way all the way in, and not only identify, capture, retain, and test every piece of evidence. And the reality is, when cases like this, when there's no obvious sign of foul play, no trauma to the body, no crime visible, it's really a joint effort, law enforcement and the medical examiner, to determine the manner and cause of death. And I think that's where we are now. It does seem very different. The manner with which they were found, the time, and their reclusiveness also makes it difficult. But the police department, working in conjunction with the ME, I trust and I know will eventually come up with a cause.
Yeah, and speaking of the medical examiner, authorities were pretty quick to tell us that it wasn't a carbon monoxide poisoning or a leak. Would that same test, though, have indicated what else was or wasn't in their system at that time?
No, I believe we heard also that they've done they're waiting for a toxicology that will tell us what, if anything, was in their systems at the time. There's a lot of other tests. So your first question, no, I don't believe that the test was very specific for the carbon monoxide. And that's something that we look at right away in a location like this, an event like this, where there's no other sign of trauma or foul play. That was ruled out rather quickly. The other thing would be a serial killer or some of that nature, which is of grave concern to the community. That was not the case as well. So now we just need to meticulously analyze and test all of the gathered evidence, including all of the results conducted on their remains.
Yeah, and as Brooke was reporting right before this and kind of teed us up, she was sharing that authorities are having a difficult time creating a timeline on their deaths. One of the things that keeps standing out to me is that in these reports, Captain, they keep talking about the decay to her body, the mummification in her hands and feet, but we're not hearing that same information about him. I mean, maybe we're just not getting the full story here, but does that indicate to you that she went first?
No, I wouldn't say that at all. And in fact, I'll tell you from law enforcement, we really hesitate on saying anything like that, especially when it is in the purview of the medical examiner.
So what else will they be having trouble with in creating a timeline? I know they have the last events on his pacemaker being, I believe it was February 17th. What other challenges are they facing in creating a timeline?
Well, I think the fact that no one was there or nor was nearby in some of the normal neighborhoods, neighbors can see a person coming or going or can talk about the last time they saw them. I would be looking for any digital evidence within the house or outside of the house that can track maybe when they let the dogs out, when they come or go, or maybe even cameras or any other devices that were, turned on or turned off. If they turn on the alarm every night, turn it off, etc. You're going to be combing all of that available information to gather that timeline. In this case, it will be a little more difficult, but that means they're going to have to take their time and really dig in and interview anyone and everyone that may have had some information.
And I know, to your point, this has now garnered international attention, everybody on the edge of their seat wanting more information. When do you think we might get some more info on those toxicology reports, kind of a realistic timeline for more scoop here?
Yeah, that's a great question, Marky. And I know that as fans of Mr. Hackman, we all want that information. It is in no interest. It is not in the best interest of law enforcement or the ME to rush it, because once you put something out, you can never retract it fully. So it's important that they take their time to put out qualified, supported information. I suspect whether they put it out or not, they'll start to get some information probably 2 to 3 weeks, maybe a month after some of these tests have been commenced.
It's 2025. I'm sorry, I hate to be that guy, but look, folks, with the advancements in modern day technology, isn't it kind of ridiculous that we have to wait this long for some of these results to come back? You would think that they would have figured out a better process by now, and I feel like a lot of this could happen quicker, but there's always someone dragging their ass somewhere along the line. I think it's kind of dangerous that we have to wait this long for these results because, for example, what if Gene Hackman and his wife went to a nice little local restaurant and they ate some food that poisoned them and killed them? We have to wait freaking months on end and allow hundreds of other people to go to that restaurant and eat poisoned food before we find that out? You know, who's to say they didn't go to Publix or something and eat some boar's head deli meat? Boar's head has been killing people for the last couple of years. And I'm not even joking. Like, literally, people are dying from boar's head. People are dying from energy drinks at Panera Bread. These are all stories I've covered here on this channel. So it makes you wonder, did they go get some bad deli meat? I know that sounds funny and maybe kind of quirky, but it's true. People Gene Hackman's age are dying off from disgusting boar's head deli meat. So all I'm saying is, like, at some point, you know, with all of these advancements in technology, I could press a button and food will be delivered to my house within 10 minutes. But we have to wait months on end sometimes, and weeks and weeks and weeks for these results to come back. And yeah, we could be patient. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't be patient. I'm a very patient person. But sometimes lives are at risk, right? Like when you have a case like this one, it's kind of unexplained how this happened to them. You know, no physical injuries, no carbon monoxide. So, yeah, there's a possibility that they were poisoned, not necessarily on purpose. Maybe they ate some bad food or they ate something that killed them, but we won't know that. And even when the results come back, we may still not know that. So, yeah, I mean, it's just kind of frustrating that in the year 2025, there's still such a long process to get some of this information back. And I know, I don't care what anyone says, I'm sure I'll have medical experts weighing in down in the comments below. Yeah, there's definitely ways where we can speed up this process. We just don't, that's not our priority in this country. You know, our priorities are other things that don't even matter for the most part. And this long, grueling process of waiting for these results, it's always so hurtful to the families who, you know, have to sit there for weeks or months on end with this mystery looming over their heads about how their family members may have died. And in this situation, maybe it's not as bad as others, but we see cases like this all the time where this process, you know, and waiting for more information, waiting for more details that can clear up certain things in a case, it causes people to speculate more. It causes the families of the victims to go through more grief and pain. And it's also helpful for the people who are sometimes responsible, the victimizers. Let's say if there is someone responsible for Gene Hackman and his wife's death. By the time the information comes out, by the time they reveal what happened to these individuals, a month or two from now, people aren't going to care anymore. That's the reality. By most of the time when I cover these cases, there's a lot of interest in them, but by the time you get answers in these cases, by the time the results come back, no one cares anymore. They're already off to the next story. There's already 10 other celebrities that died mysteriously. So, yeah, I don't know. I suspect that when we do finally find out what happened to these two, it might not cause the bang and boom that some people think. It may just kind of fizzle out, because that's what often happens in these stories, because we always, for some reason, have to wait months and months and months to find out anything. So frustrating. But it is what it is. I guess we'll have to wait. For now, let me know your thoughts down below. While you're down there, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe, ring that notification bell, and I'll talk to you all very soon in the next video.